Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another very quick game of interplanetary I Spy here. I'm going to try and keep this really short. This one's crazy. You're going to think I'm crazy for even publishing this. I don't really know what to call it, but it looks like something really quite funny. And I've had this sat on my desktop for quite some time now, and I've been trying to think of what to call it or how to kind of explain it. So I'll crack straight on with it. There are some. This is Sol 554. I've got the page up here. Links will be below in the description as usual. And there is some crazy stuff in 554, but unfortunately, like a lot of these sets of images, they're quite poor quality. They've been resized down and they're not great. So as soon as you zoom in, they look pretty terrible. At this kind of level of zoom, they don't look too bad. But as is often on Mars, a lot of the artifacts that we find are quite small. They're not enormous. But luckily this one isn't that far away from the rover. So you can see some detail, but it's not great. So I'm not going to promise you too much. But there are some weird rocks in here sticking up. And some of them look kind of like that they've been cut or shaped. Let's have a quick look at the raw image. Here we got it in my processor here. And there are some of these rocks do look really nicely kind of broken. I mean, this may well be natural, but this one here certainly looks rectangular, or well, it is straight edged anyway. There, it looks like it's been cut or split in an unnatural way. But this can be the case. There's also this strange rock sticking up out of the ground. Reminds me of that crocodile kind of looking rock that I found a while back. If any of you remember that. In fact, this one was clearer, and you can actually see in this one, without doing anything to it, what looks like a cheek here, a nose, some teeth, a chin, some eyes, and a head with what kind of like a pointed part to it here. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but it looks to me like a part of a statue or something. Now, there are some pretty weird statues I've found up there, and a lot of them are buried right up to the chin in sand. I would imagine, if you look at all the sand here, it's all kind of drifted up against this rock. I would imagine there is something interesting just below this. As I often say in these videos, there's bound to be. It actually looks slightly better from this distance here. This has been enhanced slightly. I've blurred it slightly to get rid of that pixelation, and it's actually smoothed it out a bit. And you can kind of see a bit more detail here. It's really strange. It looks like a guy's head to me. Now, it may not be, of course. It may just be a rock that just looks like that. But the number of statues that I have found up there, and a lot of them are very clear and very large, and not very far from the rover, the number of these I've found so far makes me look at these rocks in a different way, and you have to kind of think to yourself, are there any more? And if you find one statue, great. If you find two, amazing. If you find 5, 6, 7, like I've done, then you've got to start thinking, well, there must be more in this area. If you found that many already, there must be more, which is why I've been going back over some of these older images from Sol 554 and around that sort of time, because there are loads of these things everywhere. If you're willing to sift through these images and search. This is a clip from the black and white image here. You can see, actually no, this is the magenta plate. What I did is I got the image, let's go here, I got the image, and I cropped it, and I split it to CMYK, and then you get the sort of raw image. Right, I'll do that now, in fact, to show you how I do that. This is the tip I picked up from Space Cadet and Chris at Mars Anomalies channel. This is actually rather good if you want to really look at what's in these images. Now, is this the better one? I think this is the better one, yes. Right, so what you do is you put that into your processor. Okay, let's get rid of the one we don't want, which is this one, which is much worse for some reason. I think it's just the way that the compression lines cut through it more. This one's a bit smoother already, but I'm going to split the image, split the channel to CMYK, okay? And you have the black plate, yellow plate, magenta plate, and the cyan plate. Now generally the magenta plate is the best one to look at and is closest to the raw image. So what I'm going to do there is actually flip it to negative, and bang, there we go. Now you will see that this is much smoother, because It doesn't have all the other bad quality information, although a lot of it has been removed. You can see up here, where this is where there's very little data. When you have heavy shadow on a rock or something like that, if you compress the image really badly like they do, what it does is it just removes any what they think is unnecessary detail, and this is usually taken from the dark parts of the image. You'll get a similar effect if you get a compressed video or ripped download off the TV or something. You often get, when you have a dark scene at night, you get all these big pixelation blocks in the dark shadowy areas or in the dark. So the same happens with JPEGs when they're over compressed. You lose a lot of the information, so the shadows become very choppy, and this is why sometimes you need to put a bit of blur into the image to actually bring out what's there. I'll show you. I'll just clip that out actually, and I'll show you what I do. I'll just take a clip. I don't want to get too close. If you clip too close, it won't look any better. You've got to clip it, give it a bit of space, give the object some space, give it a bit of respect. You know, if you go in too close, it would just look like a blurry piece of crap, and no one would be able to tell what you're trying to get across. There we go. Now, I just increased the pixel density then. You probably missed that. From 200 to 2000, okay? That's just the quickest way to do it for me. You may not want to do it that high, but it's just quicker. And I've upped it, the size, to 1280, so it will fit in my viewer. And then I usually crop it down. I'll just blur that now. I won't do the full process because I've already done some clips of this. Let's Gaussian blur it. Well, I think it would need a bit more than 1. Let's go up to 1.4. Don't want to go too high because you lose some sharpness if you do that. But you can see what looks like an eye socket here, an eye socket there, a nose, an upper lip here, what looks like a mouth with teeth, very bright teeth, and a very light looking chin. And almost like a helmet or something sticking up here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll show you the enhancements I've already done just to save time, because otherwise we'll be here all day. And here we go. So here's that clip I just showed you, but from a bit further back. That's completely raw. That's a magenta clip, like I just showed you. So I split the image and then turn the magenta clip to negative to give you a clearer, raw look at the image, okay? Without all the orange and infrared filters that they put over these things. Now, let's look at the enhancement. Now, what I've done there is I've carefully enhanced some of the shadows in here. Now, I still don't know whether this is a face or not. It does look like one. It may not be, but there does seem to be an ear, some eyebrows, quite clear, and a sort of point on the back of the head. Now, this to me almost looks like a bald head with what could be a ponytail or something coming off the back of it. It could even have a clip around the ponytail. Who knows? Just speculating. But what's all this stuff next to it? I mean, this could just be some random rock. There are some very odd-looking rocks in this area. Some of it looks like brain coral. And brain coral can look like faces and all sorts of things. So I'll call it a day on that one. I'll show you those quick enhancements again. I haven't gone too crazy with that. You can see, there's the raw image. I've just added shadows that are already there. I just darkened it, really. That's all I have done. I haven't gone too mad. I'm just accentuating the detail that is there. But when you have images this badly damaged, you can never be 100% sure, and unless if it was a much larger statue or head, and it was even closer to the rover, then I would say with a bit more assurance, but it's just a bit too small, I'm afraid. It's literally only about 4 inches or something high. It's too small. If it was like a couple of feet and it was like this big, you know, as big as this rock here, it would be a different ball game, and I would be a lot more confident about this object. But there are, you know, these rocks can make very funny shapes, and caution is required with these images, especially when they're that badly damaged. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.